Hello again, my beautiful people. Jamaican youth in the building yet again with another one. And today, yes, we're going to talk about the Reggae Boyz. We have a lot that we want to talk about with the Reggae Boyz. A lot to discuss, a lot to go into. I don't want to, go too far in the broadcast yet because I know people still coming into the building, but what past week for the Reggae Boyz, man. Like, you know our World Cup hopes were hinged on a win against you know Curacao inside the national stadium. And there was a push for Jamaicans far and wide to come out, and celebrate with the Reggae Boyz, come in and fill the stadium and, cheer on the Reggae Boyz, push them over the line, so to speak, for this World Cup. And we haven't seen a World Cup since 1998. That's 27 years that we haven't been to a World Cup. And we all hoped, or was hoping, that we could have brought it over the line this time around. We still are in it, but it's going to be very challenging to get there, given the obstacles in the way, or given the path that we have to travel to get through it. So, today I'm going to do a data analysis of the last 25 years of the Reggae Boyz. There's been so much put out there on the internet about how people feel about the lack of qualification by the Reggae Boyz, the job that the coach has done in terms of getting the coaching the team and all of that. And then we see the new appointment of Rudolph Speed as the new interim coach. And that has come with its own, level of controversy, as if the fact that we never qualified automatically to the World Cup wasn't enough. We see the resignation of Steve McLaren, and then a very hasty, appointment of Rudolph Speed to the head coaching position of the national team. And so we're going to talk about that today. And of course, as I said, I want to talk about a data analysis of the Reggae Boyz in the last 25 years. So the Reggae Boyz left fans very, disappointed, hurt. One might even say disgusted, because there was a massive push to get fans out into the stadium, fill the stadium, push the Reggae Boyz over the line. The fans did their part. You have people who came down from abroad to come into the stadium because they wanted to witness a historic moment. There was pandemonium at the gates, people pushing through to get into the stadium. And while that was really poor behavior on the parts of the fans, nobody really complaining about it, because we are all happy that people were there trying to push us over the line, and it just turned out to be one nightmare. Because I was nervous, because there was nothing that Jamaica has done. There's nothing that the Reggae Boyz have done to suggest that they were going to beat Curacao, outside of the fact that we were playing at home and we would have a large crowd, and technically we are ranked higher than Curacao, and we just needed the win to get over the line. So those were pretty much the only reasons why I would have looked and said why Jamaica should qualify. But we weren't really playing the type of football to qualify for the World Cup. If we're being honest with ourselves, we all wanted them to qualify. I did, automatically. But the quality of the football they were playing wasn't it. It wasn't World Cup qualification level. We beat Bermuda and twice, and we also beat Trinidad, once. but we drew or lost all the other games. And if you really go into a deep analysis of all of those games, the game that we beat Bermuda, the first game that we beat Bermuda 4-0 in Bermuda, they kind of played better football than us. I mean, we were just a better team. We just had better players and finished our opportunities. So we beat them 4-0. But if you look at the general overall quality of the play, I think they played the better ball. No, in when we played them in Jamaica, we played better than them. I will say that. But for the rest of the games, Jamaica never really played better than the teams that they got. Even though we beat Trinidad in Jamaica, Trinidad played a better game than us. When we played Trinidad and drew with them in Trinidad, our penultimate game, they played better than us. It's just that, they we were able to find the back of the net first, and then they equalized with us. If we had won that game, we wouldn't have this problem where we would have to win the home game. And maybe McLaren mismanaged that game. He went there and he sat back. He was trying to soak up the player. He even said out of his mouth, if you had told me that I would get a draw, at the end of this game, I would take it. So he clearly was playing not to lose, right? As long as we don't lose, we're good. And I'm like, if you really think about it, that doesn't really help you, because yes, getting the extra point kind of helped us in the end in terms of qualification to the Intercontinental playoff. But if automatic qualification is what you're going for, you need to go for the win, because a draw or a loss doesn't really help. You need the win. So you need to go for the win so that you take off the pressure off yourself in Jamaica. And that wasn't done. He sat back, it was clear, the players were frustrated that that approach. It was clear on the field, Andre Blake in particular. And, overall, the way we played, it's hard to say this as a Jamaican fan, but we can't say we really deserved automatic qualification. We didn't play like it. And there is a fundamental problem in the way we are playing. We are not playing. We call ourselves the Kings of the Caribbean, and we have a very good Caribbean record, as you will see in some of the stats that I will pull up. We have a very good Caribbean record, but we didn't play like that in this room. You know what I mean? And it's not that there aren't quality players. There is obviously a philosophy issue, and I don't know that I can say it's just a coaching problem. We hired the wrong coach, or we hired the coach that came didn't do well. It's not just that. It's not just the coach. It's a whole situation. It's an entirety of the situation. The coach is one aspect of the reason why Jamaica's football is kind of failing in the way that it is. We haven't qualified for a World Cup in the last 25 years. It's not just the coach that we are hiring. It is not just the players that we use. It is also the administration. And a lot of the times, I know we beat the administration, get a lot of beating. But when we do an analysis of why the team is not qualifying, we kind of tend to just focus on the coach and the players. But there's a reason why when we hear stuff coming out about the conversation Steve McLaren had with Hallgrimsson said he wasn't going to last 3 months in the job. Why was he saying that? Because of his experience. You listen to Paul Hall when he left the job, when he wasn't rehired for national coach. Even though he was doing a decent job, the team looked good under his his managership, if you want to call it that. What did he say when he left? He said he's accusing the JFF of low standards. That's what he said. He said that the JFF had low standards. That's the reason why the football is the way it is. He said that, Paul Hall. There is a reason why every single coach that leaves the team, whether they are fired or they walk away voluntarily, there is a reason why there is they they walk away or they have something to say about the administration, whether directly or indirectly. It's never really the players, because the players are the players. It's who you have. You have to go in there and motivate them. The talent is there, but there is something in the administration, the JFF administration, that is causing these coaches to not be successful. And you can go back and look at John Wall, what he could have possibly qualified the under-20 for the World Cup, but there was interference in who he should choose. He wasn't given the autonomy to do what he wanted to do. And again, we're going to go and get into some statistics. There is a problem there. And unless, Liam Bailey said something, he said that Jamaica is going to continue to fail. I'm paraphrasing what he said, but he's pretty much saying Jamaica is going to continue to fail unless we get rid or we change the administration. That's a significant thing that he said, because it is so true. We cannot do the wrong things and expect the right things to happen. If that makes sense, you can do the wrong thing and the right thing happen. Don't get me wrong, it can happen. But if you do the wrong thing, you cannot expect the right thing to happen. If you do something you know is wrong, don't expect the right result or a good result from it. And I think that is what we're seeing with what the aftermath of the failure to qualify automatically to the World Cup. So that's the World Cup. We didn't play like we deserved it. We call ourselves Kings of the Caribbean. We didn't play like that. So we can't say we deserve it. As much as a fan, I really wanted us to qualify automatically. More off got a World Cup game then, but we didn't play like we deserve it. So let's put that aside. Now, what you have seen now is in the aftermath of us not qualifying for the World Cup. And as you come in, just hit the like button. Appreciate you being here. Please hit the like button. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. If in the aftermath of us qualifying, not automatically qualifying for the World Cup, what you have seen happen is a very rushed and hasty decision to appoint Rudolph Speed as the coach of the Reggae Boyz. It's one thing to appoint him, but why rush into it? What's the haste? Jamaica doesn't play a game until March. We're done for the rest of 2025. It's not even December yet. Why wouldn't you want to sit down and spend some time and think through this? Give yourself some time. Give yourself some time to think through this properly. There is no need to rush. There is nobody, behind you breathing down your neck about this. You can spend some time to think this through. The appointment of Rudolph Speed, the optics of it does not look good. For everybody who has been following the bless up we max it. Bless up we max it. Thank you for being here, man. And Sanjay Brooks, bless up yourself. Never dare say the goosebumps when the fans sang the national anthem, sang the anthem together. It's man. Yeah, man. You know what I mean? Like, so the thing is that when this rush and this haste to hire Rudolph Speed, why not think about it? You're not. It's March, the game is, and then the optics of it doesn't look good. You are the chairman of the technical committee first, so you hire and you fire coaches. You make you say that you make recommendations to the board, and they take it from there. But the truth of the matter is that they essentially always take your recommendations. So you know the influence that you have. So even if you want to say you're technically not on the board, you know the influence you have in the JFF. So you saying that you don't make you don't hire and fire coaches is not really true. So how do you move from being technical director of Jamaica's football to the technical advisor to the coach of the national team? So now you move from being the person who hires the coach to being the person who advises the coach that you hire, which is a major conflict of interest in and of itself, but we went along with it. And then now the coach that you were advising has now resigned, and now you are you are the coach itself. I mean, that to me is just, the optics doesn't look good, and the sequence of events doesn't look good, how you got to that position. And there's a reason why there's so much outcry from everyone about the appointment. And I want to make this clear too. Regardless of who is on the sidelines coaching Jamaica in the Intercontinental Playoff, I'm supporting Jamaica. You know what I mean? So not because I am, I don't like the optics of this and the way everything has come down means that I'm not going to support the team. I'm still going to support Jamaica. However, the optics of hiring and firing coaches, becoming the technical advisor, which meant that you were a part of how things came down. You were a part of it. The failure for automatic qualification, you were a part of it because you hired the coach who didn't qualify us. And the coach that was before, who seemed like he could have qualified us, he left. Hallgrimson, he left. And he's doing well over there in Ireland. He left. You hired him, he left. Why did he leave? You can draw your inference from the fact that when he had that conversation with Steve McLaren, he said, you're not going to last in that job more than 3 months or 2 months or something along those effects. You can draw your influence as to how he felt about working in Jamaica or working with the Reggae Boyz, and probably an insight into how he felt about the GFF. You can draw inference from that, right? So you were a part of these hirings, then you became an advisor to the coach, and then now you're the coach. And you were the one hiring, so you have hired yourself, essentially. And that's how it looked. Now, you might come out and say, eventually, at some point, not sure when, and come out and say, that's not how it really went down. Here is how it went down. But the optics of it is that you hired yourself and that you wanted this job a long time ago. So Sanjay Brooks said he's the manager effective December 15. Why not wait till then? I know if he's going to be the manager on December 15, why not wait until December 15 to announce it? Why the rush? That's BS. Mr. McLaren is in his first press conference, thanked him for hiring him. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I don't get it. We Max it say, I saw Tyron Marshall, Rennie Simmons, and Miguel spoke on the job. They're all more qualified, of course, because like Rudolph. Here's the thing. Here's another thing that I find pretty much laughable. You have Rudolph Speed with an A license, a CONCACAF A license, or some people call it a Trinidad A license, because like when you look at, anyway, let me not go there. He has a CONCACAF A license, and Miguel Coley actually has a pro license. So the man with a CONCACAF A license, the guy with the pro license is going to be the assistant to the man with just a CONCACAF A license. Does that even make sense? Isn't that backwards? If it's supposed to be that, wouldn't it make sense the man with the pro license be the head coach and the man with the A license be the assistant? That doesn't really make any sense to me. You know what I mean? So I find it confusing, the sequence of events that has led to him being in position. I find it confusing, the rush to appoint coach within 2 days or 3 days. We drop out of automatic qualification on Tuesday. By Friday, well, McLaren resigned the same night, and then by Friday he's the coach. Like, why? Even if you were going to be the coach, why so early? You know, are you trying to just run into the position to say, you know what, let's get it out there early so that they can all be angry at it, and so by the time, you know, the time cover, the noise will dead down and we can get back to that. It just seems like that is what it is to me. It's a rush to an opinion or to a position when there didn't need to be a rush to a position. It doesn't make any sense. We must, like, it does. It kind of hurts you to see it, because when you look at you look at the USA, even though the USA have money and everything, there was a time when we were close in terms of, you know, being able to compete against the US, even though the US have an outstanding record against us. But, and we will talk about it today, we'll look at some of the analytics, but we were close in terms of, you know, performing against the US. And when you look now, USA is given, you know, the Paraguay, they have Pochettino as head coach, which Pochettino has come under a lot of pressure from the US audience, but he has kind of lived, you know, gotten better at stuff. And now he's given Paraguay what, 5-1? They are killing it out there now. They're ready for the World Cup. They look like a well-oiled machine, and the gap between a team like the US and Jamaica is just widening, because now you have people like Curacao now is a better team than us. Why is it that those teams are getting better and we are not? We are regressing, right? And those teams are progressing, and we are looking at our federation make these, you know, decisions, and I'm like, what is going on? Like, are we seriously going to do this? And are people going to really sit down and not say anything about this? Again, I'm going to support Jamaica, whosoever is on the sideline. So this doesn't, me feeling the way I feel doesn't stop me from supporting Jamaica. But I don't like the way this has gone down. This is not good. The optics doesn't look good, and I don't think it's good either. Sanjay Brooks said, well, the original idea apparently was to appoint Coley as the head coach with Speed as his assistant. Mr. Speed threw his ties. The Speed threw his ties out of the pram and ended up getting his way from it. No, and that is an important point to, you know, Sanjay Brooks, because Mr. Speed, it seems, is anything I want goes. That's what it seems like the JFF is. If I want it, I get it. And you don't get to tell me that it doesn't happen, because I am, you know, that's how it looks. You know, I don't know Mr. Speed personally or anything. It's just the way things come across. And it's kind of a slight indictment on Michael Ricketts as the president of the JFF. He has been so meek and mild, a nice man from all accounts, that everybody says, you know, he's very cordial and easy going and nice to get along with and all of that. But he has not really stamped his authority or his presence on Jamaica's football as president. And again, I know I'm going on in my kind of sort of monologue here, but I'm going to get into some statistics. The thing is, it seems like even Michael Ricketts is pretty much president in name only. He's the president of the JFF, but it's Rudolph Speed is the one that really engineers, is the engineer behind the JFF. And if I said this is the way it's going to be, that's the way it's going to go. If I said this is the coach that we're going to use, that's what we're going to use. Maybe there's some pushback, and there's some delay on some of the things he might want in the immediate, but eventually it seems like Rudolph Speed gets what he wants. And I don't really like talking or calling out people like this, because it's like, I kind of try to stay away from the whole personality discussion and just focus on the football. But this doesn't make any sense. Too hasty, and it's confusing. So that's how I feel about that. And I know a lot of people out there, have the same sentiment, So anyway, one of the things I did over, let me go back. I have a lot of things here. Remove this before we start talking about this. But one of the things I've done over the past few days is kind of look at Jamaica's, performance over the last 25 years. I've looked at how Jamaica has, I've kind of done like a data analysis of how Jamaica has performed over the last 25 years, looking at, results. So I'm going to kind of, I have a lot of things here that I'm going to talk about, I have a lot of things here that I'm going to talk about, but I'm kind of going to go through the first part relatively quickly because it might not be the part that you want to see, but here goes. So I call this 25 years of the Reggae Boyz. How has Jamaica's senior men's football team evolved since 2000? A data analysis. So I'm going to use some data. So what did I do? Or how am I going to break this down? I'm going to give an introduction, talk about my motivation behind that topic, a description of the data that I used for this, define some of my core questions. I'm going to show you what my source description and how the data was cleaned, because there's a lot of data out there in Jamaica's football. So I want to bring it in, clean it, and give you some results. And then I'll go into my main analysis, and that will involve some text, some words, some visualizations, like some charts, bar charts, pie charts, and then a little bit of discussion behind it. I'll give you a predictive analysis and a prescriptive analysis. I'll explain what those are, and then I'll draw my conclusion from what it is. So I did this over the past few days. So here goes. My motivation behind the topic is that, for one, I have been a fan of Jamaica's football since 1994, right? 1994 World Cup, Brazil versus Italy final, Romario versus Roberto Baggio, boom, one of the most, as a matter of fact, that World Cup was held in the US, that one of the most entertaining World Cups I've watched. I was a child at that time, but I was still watching football. But that got me interested in football, and I wished to see Jamaica in the World Cup. Subsequently, World Cup 98, Jamaica was in it. I was happy. We all, for those of you who were around, we enjoyed that time. But also, I want to understand the performance trends of the Reggae Boyz over time and see if there are any trends that we are currently experiencing, so that we can kind of predict what's going to happen in the future. Of course, because there's national pride as a Jamaican, I want to see the development of football and the development of sports in general. I want to see managerial impact over time. When I say manager here, I'm talking about the coaches. So the Theodore Whitmores, the Wendell Downswell, etc. Steve McLaren. I want to look at their record and see how they have performed over time. And see if there are managers in our past that have performed so well that we might want to think about using them in the future. Then benchmarking regional against global trends, especially within the region. How has Jamaica performed comparatively to teams in the region, especially the teams that the top performing teams in the region, the USA, Canada, and Mexico, but also Costa Rica, Panama. Those are who we should say as our main competitors, and judging ourselves by their standards. So by at least equaling their standards, or going above those standards. And then the Reggae Boyz are a core part of Jamaica's identity. It's Jamaica. When you hear Jamaica, you think, sometimes you will think the Reggae Boyz. When you think the Reggae Boyz, you think Jamaica. It's a major part of the identity. And then we want to predict some future insights. So here's a description of the data set. The data contains information about every game Jamaica has played since January 1, 2000 up to November 18, 2025. November 18 is the game against Curacao. The information for each game falls under the column headings below, with a record of over 350 games. The column headings are date, venue, opponents, confederation, goals for, goals against, competition, Jamaica scorers. I didn't put the scorers that scored against us because I'm focusing on Jamaica. Attendance, is there a correlation between Jamaica's performance at home and the attendance of the fans? So the fans have a role to play with the success and or failure of the Reggae Boyz, or do they? Well, we're looking at that. So we're looking at attendance. We're looking at manager or the coach. I call coaches manager in this, just like they do in England, because they're really managing. They're not really coaching at the international level. They're managing them, because by this time you shouldn't be coaching a player, a professional. You're managing them. So manager, result description, which is I give it a win, and if they win, I put win. If there is a loss, I put loss, etc. Because it's easy to query my database to get the type of results that I want. And then I have a JFF president. I also looked at the JFF president. What has been the impact of the JFF presidents over the last 25 years? And we'll get into that. Again, I added some other metrics that is not represented in this table right now, because it was just too much information. So, like for example, I have all the games in the last 2 years that all the starting players, all the substitute players, and all the players who were substitutes who played, because sometimes you have substitutes who don't play. So I have all of that information, but it couldn't hold on the slide here, so I just limited it to what you see right here. So then, how the data was cleaned. The original and enriched. The original data set was pulled from my main source, and I'll show you what my sources are, into Microsoft Excel. The original data set had information from 2000 to 2019 in the table format that it was in. So it looked like this originally, but I added the last 3 rows: manager, result description, and JFF president. I added those. A null value was placed for all empty cells, and the goal results tab was split from 1 cell to 2 cells and was changed to goals for and goals against. The date column was formatted to year, month, date for querying in Microsoft SQL Server. I mean, I'm not going to explain what that is. It's just a tool that I use to query the database to get the results I'm looking for. And the goals, so you can see here, goals for and goals against in that table. I changed the database so that it reflects that way, so that it's easier to query. And then I enriched the original data by integrating missing data from 2020 to 2025 from various sources. I also added columns for confederation, manager, results description, and JFF president. That's what you can see here, the last 3 columns that you can see here. However, I did add starting players, substitute players, and substitutes used. So there are some other columns that you don't see here. My methodology, now I'm spending the time to talk about this because I want you to see where I'm coming from, but I'm going to get to the data. Don't worry. The data was originally sourced online with a record of all the games the Reggae Boyz played between 2000 to 2019 in a similar table format to the figure on the prior page. The original data did not have the goals scored in each game as goals for and goals against. I changed that and so on. I kind of explained this already. The original data did not have a manager column, results column, etc. The columns were researched and added to query manager performance over time and win percentage for managers, presidents, and overall team. So I kind of explained that. Here are some more important information. There was some missing data that was researched. For example, you can't always find the attendance for games that Jamaica plays. And so most of the attendance information that I didn't find is the home games that Jamaica play. So I don't know if there is not enough records kept of attendance to the national stadium. And it's not just the national stadium, because home games have been kept at the national stadium, Sabina Park, Jarrett Park, the Catherine Hall Sports Complex, and Anthony Spalding Sports Complex. Those are the 5 venues that Jamaica has played home games at in the past. So we need to do a better job documenting the attendance to the games. And it's important. It's really important, and I'll show you why. But there were instances where a goal was attributed to a player that had the same last name, Demario Phillips and Demar Phillips, you know, and Kemar Phillips. You see those names, how Demario and Demar Phillips are two different people. So I kind of had to clean up that data so that when you put it into the database to query it, you can get back the results for the right person. So the data was then updated to include the first initial of most of the players who scored. So CFAS was changed to RCFAS, and etc. You can look at some others. So you can kind of read through this. These are some of the techniques that I used. I'm not going to go in there because you're probably not interested in this, but you can pause the video if you have time and kind of read through that. But here is what I was looking at. How has Jamaica's football evolved between 2000 and 2025? My answer will come through these research questions. How has Jamaica's overall performance, win, loss, draw rates evolved between 2022 and 2025? Which managers, venues, or competition types have correlated with the team's best results? Then what patterns can be observed across 5-year periods, and what do they reveal about the development trends? These are important metrics to help you predict the future or prepare for the future. How does Jamaica's performance differ between home, away, and neutral venues? Important. Who are the most impactful goal scorers, and in what context or competition or opponents do they perform the best? How does Jamaica's evolution compare with other CONCACAF nations during the same time period? It's important to look especially at the top teams in CONCACAF, what they have done, and see if there are some things we can adapt. Can we identify the team's strongest and weakest structural areas, whether that be by venue, by competition type, by opponents, by managerial areas, to guide future performance expectations? Important things to look at. So my data visualization, my results, data was visualized using Tableau Public, Microsoft Excel, MySQL Server, and Python programming. You can look up those. I'm sure you're not interested in that. And here are my data sources. Wikipedia, ESPN.com, 11v11.com. Check out that one, everybody. That has a lot of information, a lot of data on Jamaica. You can check it out. Transfer Market, RJR News, Jamaica Observer, CONCACAF.com, which also has a lot of information. And footballdatabase.eu has a lot of information on historical Jamaica information. So let's get into the metrics and the data, what the data is revealing. And before I do that, let me see if there are any comments, because I want to just say players apparently feel the same way. They don't want him as manager. Man has engineered his way to job and nobody likes it. Yes, for sure. The corruption and incompetence in the JFF won't stop. Well, we have to stop it, you know. We have to do something. We have to do our part. When we keep failing, don't be surprised. Well, you know, if we do the same things the same way and expect a different result, that's the definition of insanity. All right. So let's talk about this now. This has win percentage by JFF president. Yes, the JFF president is not the coach. So he's not going out there and coaching the team, but it speaks to the effectiveness of the president. It says win percentage by JFF president between 2000 and 2025. The data below shows that while former JFF president Horace Burrell has presided over the highest win percentage for the Reggae Boyz in the last 25 years, there's no major difference in the team's win percentage between the three presidents since 2000. It also shows that Horace Burrell has been president for a large amount of games in comparison to the other presidents. Jamaica has also only had 3 federation presidents in the last 25 years, whereas in other high-performing nations in CONCACAF, there has been 4 to 6 presidents. So look at this here. You have seen Horace Burrell under his presidency, 81 wins, 73 losses, 40 draws, and this is between 2000 and 2025. So I'm not taking into consideration in the 90s. So the 1998 World Cup and what happened in 1999 and the 90s in general does not apply to this. All right. So this is since January 1, 2000. And that is important because you might see some metrics that might not match up with what you Google online, because I'm taking it from 2000, the year January 1, 2000. So Horace Burrell, 81 wins, 73 losses, 40 draws, presided over 194 matches for a win percentage of 41.75. And then Michael Ricketts, 46 wins, 38 losses, 27 draws, 111 total matches for a win percentage of 41.44. And then Cranston Boxill, 20 wins, 15 losses, 14 draws from a total of 49 matches and a win percentage of 40.82. That doesn't, when you see these statistically, they say it's statistically insignificant, meaning that the difference between the win percentage of each JFF president is so small that you have to kind of say it's statistically insignificant. They have generally performed the same way over their presidency. Now, what does this say though? The win percentage, do we attribute the win percentage to these JFF presidents to say, well, you have largely been ineffective because you haven't been able to have a win percentage over 50% in your presidency? Are there things that you can do to change to see a higher win percentage? And also, if you look at USA, Mexico, Canada, Panama, and Costa Rica, they have had at least 4 presidents in the last 25 years. We have only had 3 presidents, and I don't know if that is an insight into the fact that maybe we need to look into freshening things up on a more regular basis based on performance of each president. But these are metrics that we look at just to kind of look at, are there things that we can draw from the data that will help us make decisions in the future? Then I looked at win percentage by Reggae Boyz manager. Who is the most winningest coach? Who has the highest win percentage? All of that. Between 2000 and 2025. The data below shows that John Barnes has the highest win percentage of all managers since 2000, with former manager Wendell Downswell with the second highest win percentage. It also shows that Theodore Whitmore is the winningest manager in the last 25 years and has managed the most games. So look, John Barnes has a win percentage of 69.23%, and he has never lost. Again, I don't know that this is somebody we could look into for any help to give to Jamaica, but I mean, he has a very good win record. Wendell Downswell is the second highest win percentage at 50%. A lot of people don't even remember that Wendell Downswell coached the national team. 11 wins, 5 losses, 6 draws from a total of 22 matches that he coached, a 50% win record. Steve McLaren is third. 10 wins, 6 draws, 10 wins, 6 losses, 5 draws, 21 total matches, 47.62 win percentage. But some of those draws hurt us. The draws against Trinidad in this window and Curacao, those would have contributed to the 5 draws. You see there, those were hurtful draws. And then you have Theodore Whitmore, who is the undisputed winningest manager in Jamaica's history. He has 53 wins, but he has also coached Jamaica for the longest period of time, 112 games. He has a win percentage that's similar to Steve McLaren at 47.32, but he's the winningest manager in Jamaica history at 53 wins. Only Carl Brown has the next highest win percentage at 18 over the course of 46 games. So we see win percentage by Reggae Boyz manager, and we said pretty much the top 4 being John Barnes, Downswell, Steve McLaren, and Theodore Whitmore to date, with Theodore Whitmore being the winningest manager in the last 25 years. So I believe that Theodore Whitmore is the best coach in Jamaica. One of the things that is very telling about Theodore Whitmore is that against Caribbean opponents, he actually does well. One wonders if Theodore Whitmore was coach in this final World Cup qualifying round, what would have happened? You know, he has done a very good job against Caribbean opponents, and you know, his record is there. These are all the managerial records since 2000. I see Marion Gordon down here. I think this is unfair to Marion Gordon only because he only coached one game because I think it was Hall. There was a changeover from Paul Hall to Hall Grimson, and he stepped in. That's not fair, but the record, that's the record. You know, so this is, you know, performance by managers over the last 25 years. Then we want to look at Reggae Boyz win percentage by year. And this is something that I want to look at. Was there a year or a time period that Jamaica had a very high win percentage? And who was the coach at that time? Well, it says the data above shows win percentage by year. It also shows managers by time period. The data suggests that Theodore Whitmore was manager at the time of the Reggae Boyz' top 4 highest win percentage years. Look at this. 2010, 9 wins, 3 losses, 1 draw from a total of 13 matches, 69.23% win percentage. Who was the coach in 2010 or manager in 2010? Let's look. Theodore Whitmore was manager between 2009 and 2013. So he would have been the coach here. In 2020, this is the COVID year. This might kind of be a little bit of a misnomer, but 2 wins, 1 loss, no draws from a total of 3 matches, 66.67. We're not going to look at that. 2018, 6 wins, 1 loss, 3 draws from a total of 10 matches, 60% win percentage. Who would have been the manager at that time? Theodore Whitmore was manager between 2016 and 2021. Right? So he would have been the manager there. And then in 2019, we had a 57.14% win percentage, 8 wins, 3 losses, 3 draws from a total of 14 matches, 57.14. Who would have been the manager in 2019? Theodore Whitmore. The top 4 win percentage years for Jamaica was managed by Theodore Tapper Whitmore. And you can see I have all the stats here since 2000. Who have been the coaches from win to win? It was Rene Simoes, Sebastian Lazzaroni, Clovis de Oliveira, Carl Brown, Wendell Downswell. He had a good stint here, 50% win record. Bora Milutinovic, Theodore Whitmore, Rene Simoes, John Barnes had a 100% no loss record. John Barnes. Can he contribute to Jamaica's football now in even an advisory role? Is that something we can look in? I don't know. He has a good record. He knows something about coaching. Why not? Theodore Whitmore again. Winfred Schaefer, a decent coach. He did a decent job getting us to the World Cup final once. Then Theodore Whitmore again. Paul Hall, another coach that I think we can call on. He did a decent job while he was coach here in Jamaica. So it's not like we don't have these people that we can call on, but I don't know if JFF burnt the bridge with Paul Hall. Then you have Marion Gordon, who has been assistant coach for a long time. A lot of people feel the way how they feel about him. Hall Grimson, and then Steve McLaren. These are all the coaches since 2000. And you can see, as I said, the top 4 win percentage in the last 25 years has been Theodore Tapper Whitmore. Highest win percentage. All right, so let's move on. Let's look at Reggae Boyz win percentage over 5-year trends, because these things are important to look at how we have performed over the last 25 years to kind of track our performance rate. You know, we can't just leave, we shouldn't just leave these things willy-nilly. In order to improve, you have to look back at what has been and see if you can use the metrics that you use in that has defined us in the last 25 years and improve on it. Because if you keep doing the same thing that you have done in the last 25 years, you're going to get the same result. And so you need to try things that will change these metrics in your favor. So it says here, Reggae Boyz win percentage over 5-year trends. The data below shows that win percentage for the Reggae Boyz over 5-year periods have not been trending consistently in any direction. It's up, it's down, it's up, it's down, it's up. Will it go down again? As opposed to a steady climb. That's what I'm talking about. Are we improving? Or is it up, down, up, down, up? That's what is happening. That's what this is showing here. So the period between 2020 and 2024 has seen the steepest drop in win percentage, but is currently trending up in this opening phase of the next 5 years, which is 2025 to 2029. This could be attributed to the fact that 11 of the 15 matches that the Reggae Boyz have played in 2025 were against Caribbean opponents who they have the highest win record against. So Jamaica have their highest win record against Caribbean opponents. And in 2025, we played 15 games, and 11 of the 15 games were against Caribbean opponents. So you can see here, between 2000 and 2004, the win percentage was above, the win percentage was right below 40%. So you can see it here, 39.33%. In 2005 to 2009, it jumped up to 45.16%. So that's approaching 50%, but not quite. Then 2010 to 2014, dropped back down to 40.63%, not consistent. 2015 to 2019, 48.44%. That's the highest win percentage we have ever achieved in a given year or a given 5-year time period. Because we can't count the one at the bottom because it's just the first year of the 5-year cycle. 2025 is, so we can't count that. But 48.44%, the highest 5-year win percentage we have had. Then 2020 to 2024, 31.67. That's the last 5-year cycle between 2020 and 2024. It's the lowest win percentage we have had at 31.67. So over the last 5 years, not including 2025, our win percentage has been 31.67. And you'll see some of the things that contribute to that. But I wanted to bring this up front. And then 25 to 2029, you see a 53.33% win percentage. That's because we're just in 2025. So we are tracking 2025 to 2029. We'll have to look and see how the next 4 years goes. Okay? So moving on, Reggae Boyz home, neutral, and away record. And you might be asking, are these metrics important in helping Jamaica's performance? We'll get to that. You know, Reggae Boyz home, neutral, and away record, 2000 to 2025. Home games, over 25 years, we have won more than 50% at home. Now, hold on, don't get carried away with this metric yet, but more than 50% at home we have won. We have only lost 20.4%, and we have drawn 25 point or a quarter of our games. Then on neutral venues, 39.5%, but we've lost 41.1%, 19.4% drawn. And then at away venues, 33%, we have lost 43.3%, and then draw 23.5%. Overall, it's not bad, but you will see that the last 5 years, as you could have seen in the last slide, we dipped in performance. So the data above shows that the last 25 years, home advantage for the Reggae Boyz have been significant. The loss rate drops by nearly half at home. This indicates a strong environment-driven performance that could be leveraged in scheduling strategic competitive matches. All right, at this time, I'm going to see if there are any comments and talk about the comments. So let's take your comments. Max say Whitmore. Yeah, Whitmore has a good record. He has a very, very good record. Let's say what's going on with your next time. Okay. So Max said John Barnes left because people wanted to put players in the team. He won't take up the job. This seemed to be a recurring theme in Jamaica's football. It's a recurring theme. Anyway, Dexter looks like he forgot to okay. Okay. Let's see. We max it and BM is going back and forth here. Yeah, long ball. We play a lot of long ball. So anyway, so it seemed like it's not looking good at all. We can't beat New Caledonia. Look, some people saying that, you know, there's a lot of people are talking about Congo already, and we don't even beat New Caledonia yet. I don't know if that is a good road to go. Remember Curacao. Everybody thought that Soup Group, right? We're supposed to win everything. Not so easy. New Caledonia is a French territory, and more than likely they might have players playing in the French league that, you know, they might call on to come and help bolster their team. So if we think we're just going to run over New Caledonia like that, we have another thing coming. It's not going to be that easy. We shouldn't take them lightly. Anyway, Reggae Boyz home, neutral, and away record. But look at what happened in the last 5 years. You know, it says here the data above shows that between 2020 and 2024, the Reggae Boyz have lost almost 60% of their home games and won only 25%. Only 25% of the home games have been won. We cannot expect high performance. We cannot expect to do well and be only winning 25% of our home games. That's unacceptable. That's unacceptable. We have to do better with home games. That's not good at all. They have lost a little over 70% of neutral venues and lost about 60% at away venues. This metric suggests a high loss rate in the last 5 years at all types of venues. Now, the reason why this metric is important, people tend to walk around with the belief that Jamaica performs better. Well, yes, that is true. We do perform. That might not even be true. Yeah, we perform better away from home than we do at home. But is that really, really true? We have lost over 70% of our games at neutral venues. And neutral also includes Gold Cup. Well, even when we play against the USA, because Jamaica versus the USA in the Gold Cup, even though it's being played in the USA, is not considered a home game. It's considered a neutral venue. So that's why that 71% might look high too. But over 70% of our neutral games have been lost. And then at least 60% of our away games have been losses in the last between 2020 and 2024. That's not a good record. And so a lot of people believe that we perform better away from home than we do at home. No, we might win at a higher percentage away from home than we do at home, but is the overall performance away better? So this time period between 2020 and 2024 is the reason why, if you go back to the previous slide, why you only see a 53% win record. So you ask the question, I kind of don't want to bring this up. How do you compare this generation's performance to prior generations' performance? This crop of Reggae Boyz performance to prior generations' Reggae Boyz performance. There was an interview I see done on Eddie Vision Sporty where they did Jimmy Lawrence. He interviewed Jimmy Lawrence, and the question was asked if along the lines of, do you think this crop of Reggae Boyz is the best or was better than the other crops of? He said he doesn't think they're better. The stats bear it out. No, I don't want to. This kind of is throwing shade at the current Reggae Boyz. I support the current Reggae Boyz. I support any Reggae Boyz team, but these are the stats. In the last 5 years, these are the results right here. And this is concerning. This is concerning. So when we have these high expectations that we're going to, qualify for the World Cup and we're going to do all these great things, these are the statistics in the last 5 years. This is how we're trending in the last 5 years. So that this can, excuse me, so that this can give us a little idea as to where we are. Let's not bury our head in the sand and think that we have been great. We haven't really been that great, because the stats bear it out. All right, it says Reggae Boyz performance by home game fan attendance 2000 to 2025. Now, I couldn't find the fan attendance for every home game. So this is just pulled from the stats that I could find. And again, I think it's important for the Jamaica Football Federation. Maybe they track it and it's just not published publicly, but you need to track your game attendance. You need these metrics. It says here the data shows that while there was a higher amount of wins with higher attendance to home games, there was no major difference between the win percentage for high attendance games in comparison to low attendance games. So what does that mean? If you look at high attendance, I define high attendance as 10,000 fans and above. That's kind of a low bar, to be honest with you, but we have seen what the attendance has been to Jamaica football games until recently. So I said 10,000. If you have 10,000 people in the stadium or more, that's considered high attendance. If you have anything less than 10,000, I consider that low attendance. So that's what this is. This is saying we have had 48 matches in between 2020 and 2025. We've had 48 matches with attendance above 10,000 and above. No, it could be more, but there's not the stats though. These are the stats that I found. We have had 27 wins, 7 losses, 14 draws. The win percentage has been 56.25%. 27 wins. So there's a lot of wins. So that's what this is saying. We have 27 wins in comparison to 19 wins when you have low attendance. But we're talking about only 33 games with low attendance, which is below 10,000. So 33 matches with an attendance below 10,000. 19 wins, 7 losses, 7 draws, but a win percentage, that's the percentage of this number that are wins, is 57.58%. So I conclude that there's not really a major difference between the performance in the last 25 years overall. We're going to look at the last 5 years, but in the last 25 years, win percentage there's no major difference between high attendance and low attendance. So because, like, again, when you see 56.25, compare that with 57.57, it's just a 1 percentage point difference, 1 point something. So statistically, it is not statistically significant enough for you to say one is more than the other or better than the other. It's too close for you to draw any major difference from these two. So there's no major difference in high attendance in the performance of there's no major difference in win percentage with high attendance versus low attendance. Now that's between 2000 and 2025. Now let's look in the last 5 years, because the last 5 years is the modern era where you have all of these current crop of players. The data shows that in the last 5 years, the Reggae Boyz win percentage has been higher with high fan attendance in comparison to low fan attendance to home games. So we look here, and again, high attendance is defined as anything above 10,000 fans. We have had 5 total matches with high attendance, 2 wins, 1 loss, and 2 draws. So what does that tell you about the fan base? We haven't really been coming out to watch the games. No, that's obvious. I mean, I know that if you have been a fan of the Reggae Boyz over time, you know that has been happening. But also the win percentage, the win percentage has been low over the last 5 years. So maybe there's a correlation between high fan attendance or low fan attendance and performance by the Reggae Boyz. So the better you perform, the more fans come out. The worse you perform, the less fans come out. I know people Are people going to be saying like, duh, you know, we knew that before because we have been saying that. I know that. But you have the statistics here to back it up. 19 total games with low attendance, 7 wins, 5 losses, but 7 draws. So you have more losses here. And these are home games, by the way. These are not overall games. These are just games in Jamaica. Up for a win percentage of only 36.84%. It says that we need, as fans, to support them more. But we have to also look on the team and say, if we're gonna fill the stadium like how we fill it against Curacao, you have to win more. And Curacao is a team where you're supposed to beat. I don't care if Curacao is a tough team. Yes, they are a tough team. They have good players, but Jamaica should be a tough team too. We are a tough team too. We are at home in front of almost 40,000 fans. You know what I mean? So you can't just gloss over that. Yes, the fans will come out and support you, but you need to give them something to support. You can't just have the stadium full up and then you leave everybody go home disappointed. You know, we're not beat up on the Reggae Boyz, but I mean, like that was hard, Bridget. Like the fans were hurt. You know, so when you get high attendance, you need to perform, Bridget. Like you gotta do better. You gotta take it seriously because people are, anyway, the partying thing. You know, you see, if you win and you're out there partying, nobody don't have anything to say. But when you just lose and when you just lose, especially such a heartbreaking, not lose, but you didn't accomplish such a goal that everybody was looking forward to, and you want to you know what I mean, you break the hearts of the fans and you're out there partying. You know what I mean? Like how you have to think about how that looks, even if you know you just want to go out and go chill out and just take your mind off of things because you upset too. I get that, but do not let yourself be photographed partying when you just fail to qualify for the World Cup. That doesn't look good, and it says that you're not serious about this. So the fans are out there hurting, the country is hurting. And you had a chance to put a smile on the face. And I'm not saying the players didn't try, they did. But you didn't accomplish the goal and you're out there partying. It doesn't look good. Because you see, you can't blame the fans for not coming out, because I know people have been on the fans. I myself have been on the fans to come out. And know that the fans do come out and give all the support in the world that you're supposed to get. Then you give them a draw and feel automatic qualification. So it's going to be hard. It's going to be a hard sell for you to come back and tell the fans to come out to the National Stadium. You have a chance to qualify for the World Cup. So if you qualify for the World Cup from the Intercontinental thing, then I'm pretty sure if and when you do come back to Jamaica to play, or when you do come back to Jamaica to play, the fans will come out because they'll be happy. But you have to give them something to be happy about. So there is a correlation between performance and attendance. Which one comes first, the chicken or the egg? Is it you perform well and fans will come out? Or is it fans come out so that you perform well? Who knows? Here is Reggae Boyz top 10 opponents by frequency 2020 to 2025. Here's a statistic I found really interesting, because a lot of people believe that Trinidad is the team that we have played the most. That is not true. The data shows the top 10 most frequent opponents of the Reggae Boyz in the last 25 years. It shows that the USA has been the most frequent opponent of the Reggae Boyz. Of the top 10 opponents represented here, the top 5 teams in CONCACAF are included. This suggests that the Reggae Boyz have consistently played against the highest quality opponents in the CONCACAF region over the last 25 years. So there are some things to draw from this. For one, the first thing that stuck out to me is we have played the USA a lot. You know, a lot of people believe that Trinidad is the team that we play all the while, and is, you know, we play Trinidad so much. No, we have played the USA a lot more than we have played Trinidad in the last 25 years. We have also played Honduras at a similar frequency have we have played Trinidad. Yes, Trinidad is up there too, but these are the teams that we have played. But the other thing is, this is one of the positives things I think is coming from some of the research I've done, is that we're playing these high-level teams consistently. USA, Honduras, Trinidad, Mexico, Costa Rica, Panama, El Salvador, Canada, Guatemala, Cuba. In terms of in the region, of all the top 10 opponents we have here that we have played, we have the top 5 teams in CONCACAF. USA, Mexico, Canada, Costa Rica, Panama. Those are the top 5 teams in CONCACAF. I mean, that might change soon, but to date, those will be the top 5 teams in there. And we're playing those teams regularly. So that's good. Our record against them is not good, though. So we're playing them more, but I'll show you what our record is against CONCACAF teams. We'll show you what our record is against teams by confederation. All right? But these are top 10 opponents by frequency. I call this a win/no loss percentage by confederation between 2000 and 2025. Now, this is a very detailed metric and can be a little bit technical metric. So let's read it. It says the data here shows a comparison between games not lost, which means wins and draw. So you didn't lose. As long as you never lose the game, and not losing can mean win or draw. So data here shows a comparison between games not lost and wins only by confederation, but it also shows losses too. But these are the metrics I'm focusing on. The data shows that the Reggae Boyz have seen the most successful record against teams from the OFC, that's the Oceania Football Confederation, and the CONCACAF Caribbean Confederation. It also shows that the worst record is against the CAF, which is the Confederation African Federation. I think it is. But it's the African Federation. I don't know the acronym. And then UEFA Confederation. All right, so let's talk about this because this is important. Because for one, the 2 games that we're playing in the Intercontinental Playoff is won by a OFC team, Oceania Football Confederation, which is against New Caledonia. They are from the OFC. We have a 100% win record and a 100% no loss record against OFC teams. The reality of it is when you check the data, the 2 OFC teams we have played is New Zealand. We played New Zealand twice, and so our win percentage is 100%, and our no loss percentage is 100%. So I've never lost against an OFC team, but it's only New Zealand alone ever played, which New Zealand apparently automatically qualified from the OFC region. So that looks good for us, but I still don't think we can underestimate. But the other team that we're playing, if we defeat the OFC team, New Caledonia, will be an African team, a CAF team. Look at our record against CAF teams. We have only won 1 game. We have lost 7 games, and we have drawn 7 games from a total of 15 games with a win percentage of 6.67% and a no loss percentage of 53.33%. So in terms of our potential against an African team, we're probably kind of more likely to draw against an African team than win, but it's a 50-50 because I mean you're at 53% for no loss. We have lost to African teams 7 times. So after 15, so almost half of the times we have lost to them, and the other half is not win. We win them is draw. We draw with them for the most part, and win 1. We win 1 time. We have never beaten a UEFA team. This kind of should show where our football is in comparatively to the top confederation in the world. We have never beaten a UEFA team. Not good, because you look at USA, and you have to use USA, Mexico, Canada, because they are the standard bearers in the region. The US their metric of how well they're doing is if they can beat a European team. And it's a good metric to measure yourself by because they are the top confederation in the world. So they look at it as this: if we can beat a European team, it tells us that we're progressing, or football is progressing, right? And we have to use these two confederations, UEFA and CONCACAF. So what do you glean from this? If I'm in the JFF and I'm looking at these metrics, I'm trying, even though it's the football calendar is more difficult now to schedule games in other confederations. I'm definitely thinking about scheduling friendly games between European opponents and against African opponents. We have to play those high level teams so that we can get used to playing top-notch football. That's what the USA have done. That's what they have done. They use their performance against European teams and CONMEBOL teams to judge how well they're performing. They don't use the CONCACAF. They don't even want to send their best team to CONCACAF. But here are some other insights you can draw from this. That CONMEBOL, we have only a 20% win record and a 26.67% no loss record. So we are not even matching up very well. It's our win percentage, and I ordered this by win percentage, by the way. So you'll notice highest win percentage to lowest win percentage. Again, against Asian teams, only 15.79% win percentage, but no loss percentage is 31.58. So if you look at confederations where we have lost more than we have won, you can look at UEFA, at the African Confederation, the Asian Confederation, CONMEBOL, CONCACAF North. Look at our record against CONCACAF North. That's your USA, Canada, and Mexico. That's CONCACAF North. 24 losses. Only 8 times we have beaten them. We don't have a very good record against them. We have drawn. So even your no-loss percentage is just at 40%. So we are more likely to lose to a CONCACAF North team than any other result. Those are metrics we have to look into to improve. Then we look at CONCACAF Central American teams. That's your Guatemalas, your Panama, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Nicaragua. We look and we say 24 wins, but 26 losses. So while it's not a horrible, it's not a horrible record, we only have a win percentage of 33.8% against Central American opponents. So we do not have a likelihood of beating Central American opponents in the last 25 years. We only have a 33.8% win record. And even our no-loss record is 63.38%. So, that's your wins plus your draws. So we have drawn a lot of games against Central American opponents in the last 25 years. So you look at Caribbean opponents, we have our best record, one of our best records, 98 games, 27 losses, 38 draws from 163 games, 60% win record, and an 83% no-loss record. So that's our best record in the region. I was the JFF. I'm trying to play more of the teams in the bottom part of the table because we need more experience there. Okay, so let's look at some other metrics. Here is win percentage by competition. What competitions have the Reggae Boyz performed well in? What competitions have we performed well in? It says here the data shows that the Reggae Boyz have the highest win percentage in CFU Caribbean Cup with the CONCACAF Nations League, the second highest win percentage. It also shows that over the last 25 years, the performance in the FIFA World Cup qualifiers have yielded a win percentage of less than 35%. This has been a trend. Our performance in World Cup qualification has been not good. Is it any surprised why we have not qualified automatically for this World Cup. We do not have a good FIFA World Cup qualification record. What are the reasons why we don't have those? All right, let's look at these and draw some inferences from this. Caribbean Cup, 27 wins, but this is not a defunct competition, so this doesn't even count. CONCACAF Nations League, though, is our best performing CONCACAF tournament. CONCACAF Nations League, 16 wins, 5 losses, 7 draws from a total of 28 total matches with a win percentage of 57.14. Can we leverage our performance in the Nations League to try and win silverware? That's how I look at it. I'm like, the Caribbean Cup you have won. Jamaica has won the Caribbean Cup before, right? This is at the top of the list, right? We have never won. I don't know of any other silverware we have won. Outside of like the 4 Nation tournaments and all of that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about these competitions that always come around. We always have Nations League. We always have Gold Cup. We always have the World Cup. Can we leverage the performance in the Nations League, and actually, win some silverware? 57.14% win percentage. If I'm Jeff, if I'm looking into this and saying this is a competition we can possibly win and win some silverware to boost, put something in our trophy cabinet, we need to focus on this. We have a decent record in CONCACAF Nations League. We have a worse record in the Gold Cup, only a 50% win record. But we have been to the CONCACAF Gold Cup finals twice. We just haven't brought it over the line. And then we have FIFA World Cup qualification win percentage, 33%. Let's see what you're saying in the comment section, because I know I've been going on and on for a while. So let's take some of your comments. I feel bad for the fans who parked the stadium. Some even jump in the fence expecting to witness history. All we needed was one goal, and once again the boys failed to deliver. Look, I mean, obviously the fans in the stadium will feel it a little more, but trust me, I feel it to bridging, because 1998 is a long time for us not to qualify for a World Cup, and we get it handed only God alone can tell me, say, this not aligned. This wasn't engineered for Jamaica to qualify. I feel say the football gods, the people them who they are prepare the CONCACAF round World Cup qualification cycle, them engineer this for Jamaica qualify. Because as you can see, even with the hurricane, not to use that situation for try and do anything, but you can see the outpouring of love that the world has for Jamaica. With somebody say, Jamaican government hasn't asked for, really haven't gone out there and asked for any help, but a lot of countries have voluntarily come in to help Jamaica. Jamaica never out there, stretching out their hands begging for help from other countries. They say we will need our partners, but didn't say, and it's not to be a pro, is a thing to say, give thanks whenever they have to go out there and stretch out their hand. People are coming on board to help us because of the love that's out there for Jamaica. And I'm saying that it's not far-fetched that's probably one of the reasons, this whole thing was just kind of engineered for Jamaica make it to the World Cup. But we didn't. Honestly, we can't even blame the fans. I can tell you, after Tuesday, most Jamaicans are done with Reggae Boyz. Going forward, the boys will be playing the NTC. Look, I mean, I can't blame fans for how them feel right now, because it's crazy. That I can't say, oh, I cannot say how. I can't say how. It's just crazy. I agree. The partying after the game comes across. I mean, how are you? How are you going to, see the nation hurting? Not just hurting from the fact that you didn't qualify automatically. But if the hurricane wasn't enough, no, we don't qualify automatically, even though the nation is hurting and we pour out our heart to you in the national stadium. And you just go party. But now I say one can't party, but there's a time and place for everything. And you are a professional player. So you have to think professionally. You have to think before you act. You don't go to a nightclub on the night when Jamaica had the easiest opportunity in history to qualify for the World Cup and get photographed. If you want to go to the party, don't tell them don't put the camera up on you. You get me? But you can't. It's crazy. Bless up everybody in the comment section. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button and like the video. But yeah, we appreciate your presence in the comment section. Remember that match will be played in high altitude conditions, which African teams don't fare well against. That might be true, but my approach to this is me have to see Jamaica win first before me feel that there's going to be any we're going to just deal with this easily. They have to win first. I'm not taking any team lightly. A lot of people have gone on and already thinking about how we're going to defeat Congo. And I'm like, we're not there yet. We're not there yet. Let's deal with who is in front of us first and then think about Congo. When we get past New Caledonia, we'll think about Congo. But right now, given the way Jamaica has played, again, as I said, when you look in this World Cup qualifying cycle, the football that Jamaica played they were not the best football playing team. They might have had the best set of individual players, but they are not the best football playing team. Curacao and Trinidad, without a doubt, played a much more attractive style and ball possession football. And that idea about, you don't need to possess the ball to win games anymore, that might be true. But the truth of the matter, I would love to do an analysis of, win percentage by ball possession to see if teams win more when they possess the ball versus not. Because if you don't possess the ball, you can't score. If you don't have the ball, how are you going to score? So that idea about you don't have to possess the ball, yes, you don't have to have the highest possession rate between the two teams. But at the same time, I am pretty sure the teams that possess the ball the most tend to win more than teams that don't. You can't score if you don't have the ball. So, I'm not taking anything for granted. The USA do have a standard, yes. I always look at, if you remember when the USA didn't qualify for the World Cup when they went down to Trinidad and Trinidad beat them and knocked them out of the World Cup, you see how they reacted. You see how Taylor Twellman came on television and reacted, and the US Soccer Federation got their you-know-what together, and that crap never happened again. That was the last time that crap happened, because they take that very, very seriously. They take a non-qualification to the World Cup extremely seriously. I don't think we are there. And that's one of our problems. The King of the Caribbean is a joke. The King of the Caribbean argument is, I don't know where that's, we don't foresee that for the next, until we can qualify for the World Cup. Yeah, I don't know. He said, I saw Usain Bolt trying to motivate the team. I knew there was trouble. Yeah, you could have tell even from the fact that we have you could tell that they were nervous. The whole footballing fan landscape was nervous. You know what I mean? Because it's like, this is a team that gave us 2-0. A team that we're supposed to beat. And the reason why we were nervous is because we knew that Curacao was playing better football than we were. We know it. They've been playing the ball. They've been passing the ball on the ground much better than we have. So it's not a surprise. Of course, as a fan, I want to say, no, Jamaica is going to win because I want them to win. But they play better football. They play a better brand of football than us. And I don't understand why it doesn't matter what coach comes, we do not possess the ball against teams that we're supposed to be able to possess the ball. When you look at Trinidad, for example, and you look at the leagues that our players are playing in, and the leagues that the Trinidadian players are playing in, how is it that them can possess the ball and play a much better brand of football than us with the type of players that we have? And it doesn't even matter the coaches that come. It could be Hallgrimson. Well, Hallgrimson did decent. I have to give that man his props. I don't like how he left the team, but he was doing a good job coaching Jamaica. He was way more professional. The fact that he left wasn't probably even a function of the players. It was more the coaches. More the administration. But I just don't know. The passion and pride for Jamaica just isn't there from the players. The players have to take some responsibility. Man, them EM to be Carib Kings, but they're worthless. Well, I mean, it's disappointing. It's really disappointing, man. Very, very, very disappointing. All right, let me just wrap this up because I just have a few more metrics I'm talking about. Reggae Boyz leading goal scorer, and I know, this is kind of something we like talking about, but the reason why this is important, I will point out in a second, but it says Reggae Boyz leading goal scorers between 2000 and 2025. The data above shows that the top 20 goal scorers for the Reggae Boyz, the data above shows the top 20 goal scorers for the Reggae Boyz, and that Shelton, that's Luton Shelton, is currently the Reggae Boyz leading goal scorer with current player Shamar Nicholson at second. Current player Shamar Nicholson at second. Of the goal scoring table, only 5 are current players, with Corey Burke being the next current player. So what do I mean by that? Luton Shelton is still the leading goal scorer on 25 goals. Shamar Nicholson is second, but this is only because it's since 2000. That's only because it's since 2000, because the truth of the matter is Onande Lowe is second in the table. Onande Lowe has 27 goals for Jamaica. And after Onande Lowe, I think it's Andy Williams, who has 22 goals for Jamaica. The only reason why they are the positions they are in this table is because I'm taking it from 2000. So a lot of them scored goals before 2000 in the 90s. So it doesn't count in this table. But Onande Lowe has 27 goals, but he lands at third in this all-time goal scoring chart. And Andy Williams has 22 goals, but he lands at fifth in this all-time scoring chart because we're just looking at goals scored since 2000. Now, the important thing I'm drawing from this is that on this goal scoring chart, only one player or only 5 players on this goal scoring chart. And this is the top, I think this is the top 20. So current players, there are only 5 current players on this current goal scoring chart. So you have Shamar Nicholson. Darren Mattocks has a very good goal scoring record, but he retired. I think a little bit too early. I think he's still in his 30s. He could have done a lot of damage, but I mean, I'm one making decision because he might have reason it. So, Darren Mattocks, Shamar Nicholson as a current player. Then you go down the table. Only Corey Burke at 9 goals. He's not even in the squad now. He's the next player with the highest goal scoring tally. Then you have to go down again, Bobby De Cordova-Reid on 7, Leon Bailey on 7 goals, and then Demari Gray on 7 goals. So those are the 5 players in terms of goal scoring. I think that we should have current players higher up in the table. I believe that we should be scoring more goals, and we should have more marquee players. When you look at some of these players that we had in the past, I mean, Luton Shelton, Onande Lowe, Andy Williams. Marquee, those players have played a lot of games, though, especially Onande Lowe and Andy Williams. So their strike rate might be a little bit lower than some of these players, but some of the current players, I should say. But These were some marquee players. Onande Lowe, Andy Williams, you know, people remember Roland Dean. I haven't heard from him in a while, but very good player back in the day. You know, and I kind of want to say a little thing about Onande Lowe because, like, you know, we Onande Lowe is a reggae boy great, you know, and he has had some unfortunate things happen to him in his career, but you know, I really think that he hasn't really been given his flowers. Onande Lowe, one of the greatest players in Jamaican history, one of my favorite players actually, and you can always go back and look on his goals on YouTube and some of the goals he scored. You know, even playing for Rushden and Diamonds in England. For those of you who was around in the 90s and early 2000s, we used to call Onande Lowe goal a game because he used to score you could depend on him for a goal. And, you know, it's like a folkloric legend, Onande Lowe. I remember when I was in high school, how me was hear about Nandi Lowe. I never even know is Onande Lowe was his correct name. I was like, who is this Nandi Lowe? Man, you know, for those of you who play interfarm football in high school, you know, say when you play interfarm, you play class, your class play against the other class, right? And what we do as the Monday in the class, we throw money together and we buy we own a jersey, right? The man used to call right pandem jersey Nandi Lowe, NANDY -LOO, Nandi Lowe. So me used to think, who is this baller named Nandi Lowe? Is it because like me hear about this Nandi Lowe, but when we watch Jamaica football, me not see nobody named Nandi Lowe on the team. Me see Nandi Lowe, me see Nandi Lowe. So me used to hear about Nandi Lowe. You see me? Yeah, the wickedest thing ever. Nandi Lowe and Walter Boyd, right? And me go. And when we start watch Jamaica football more often, I say, wait, that Nandi Lowe is sound close to Nandi Lowe, so I must in them attack. So I saw it kind of clicking on my mind. Say, oh, Nandi Lowe is Nandi Lowe. But this man used to, like, everybody used to talk about Nandi Lowe. Everybody. And me's an Harborview man, you know. So we used to go up a compound, go watch Harborview play. From the days when Onande Lowe used to play for Harborview, he used to wear the red boots. Only him and Walter Boyd alone they have red boots one time, and then Ricardo Gardner get it and Whitmore and so on and so forth. Is it me? Yeah, we used to go watch Onande Lowe play, and then I say, yo, oh, it's like no one make the connection for say, yo, at this at the ball, and then when I hear about it in high school, when I finally can able to watch, me know say him the attack. The wickedest thing, Bridget, Onande Lowe would have played in the Premier League, but for the issues that he has had in his career. You know what I mean? And I not believe say that man has gotten his flowers. I know say him is a private man and not really come out and, you know, say anything, but it would be nice to see somebody do an interview with Onande Lowe and talk about his footballing career. He's one of Jamaica's most outstanding footballers, you know, and it just kind of sad say, yo, we just never hear back about him. But anyway, but this is Jamaica's leading goal scorer table. And then I'm winding this up now because I've been on here. It's a top 15 players by win involvement. I wanted to do some metrics that looked at, you know, in the last 2 years, of the players that we have used in the last 2 years, who are the players that have been involved in the most wins for Jamaica in the last 2 years. So this says top 15 players by win involvement in the last 2 years, 2024 to 2025. And those players are Ronaldo Cephas. Ronaldo Cephas has been involved in the most wins in the last 2 years of any player. Ronaldo Cephas. And I know that player has gotten a lot of pressure from a lot of fans. I'll just put it like that. But Cephas with 12 win involvements, Greg Lee with 11 win involvements, Richard King with 10 win involvements, Kyle Dixon, 10 win involvements, Damian Lowe, 9 win involvements, Dexter Lembikisa, 9 win involvements, Bobby the Cordova-Reid, 8 win involvements. Andre Blake, 8 win involvements. Karai Anderson, 8 win involvements. Casey Palmer, 7 win involvements. Joel Latibodier, 7 win involvements. Shamar Nicholson, 7 win involvements. Demarai Gray, 7 win involvements. Jonathan Russell, 6 win involvements. Isaac Hayden, 6 win involvements. So, you know, you can see there, yes, being the great on the low. I mean, we wish the brother they could have been in some way, you know, involved in Jamaica's football, but we don't say that probably is you know. Sanjay Brooks, we all have but the Nandiloo. Yeah, man, when they play Interfarm and Nandiloo them say. I never Nandiloo. Look back, let's see, go back for some of the comments. Halgrimson left the team because JFF was meddling into his selection. A theme that comes over and over and over and over. We care more about many local or diaspora players play and not about what we have to do consistently to consistently win and qualify to play at the highest level. We get good coaches, but then scare them off. Yes. Yeah. The JFF needs to take an introspective look because we can't get coaches just leaving like that. You know, every coach is like them just can't stand working for being the coach for Jamaica. Like from afar, them look and say, oh, Jamaica is such a talented team. They have the brand and the this and the that. So they want to coach the team. But when they get into the position of coaching the team, them can't wait to leave. So they are excited about it to come and play to coach us. But then can't wait to left. It's crazy. Anyway, people, what do you think about this? If you really look at this team here, are these set of players: Cephas, Lee, King, Dixon, Lowe, Lembikisa, Cordova-Reid, Blake, Anderson, Palmer, Latibodier, Nicholson, Gray, Russell, Hayden. You can actually pick a starting lineup from this. You know, you can pick a starting lineup from this. You can pick, obviously, Andre Blake in goal. Greg Lee has been involved in more wins than Amari Bell. This is just in the last 2 years. None of me says so, the stats says so. Greg Lee has been involved in more wins than Amari Bell. He has played that left back position. Dexter Lembikisa would be the right back that has been in the most win involvements. Obviously, he has played more, so that's probably a reason too. But still, he is. Then you have Richard King and Damian Lowe. You know, it's something that a lot of us don't think about, you know, because we believe that it has to be Ethan Pinnock and Richard King, or Ethan Pinnock and Damian Lowe. But what about Damian Lowe and Richard King? The stats is saying right here that these are the two center backs that have been involved in the most wins for Jamaica in the last 2 years. Yeah. So you have your Lee, Lembikisa, King, Lowe. That's your back four with Andre Blake in the goal. What about your wingers? Well, Ronaldo Cephas has been in the most win involvements in the last 2 years. So you put your Cephas on the left wing, and Kaim Dixon has been in 10 win involvements in the last 2 years. And Kaim Dixon have been a source of scrutiny and debate over the last previous cycles, because there's a lot of people out there saying, well, I mean, look at Kaim Dixon. He's playing in League 2, but he's starting over a player who is starring up a team that him can't even make the bench for in Tyrese Campbell, which, in all fairness, I don't know why Tyrese Campbell hasn't gotten more game time, because every time I see him play, he plays well. I don't think I've seen him have a bad game for Jamaica. So I don't know why he hasn't been used more. Tyrese Campbell, he's a good player. And I'm not saying this because I love the English player than over the local players. I'm saying it because when I watch him play on the field, he plays better. You know? Or he plays well. But Kaim Dixon has a 10-game win involvement. And so there are your two wingers, Cephas and Dixon. And then what about your midfield? You have Bobby the Cordova-Reid, who can play the midfield. You have your Karoy Anderson. This is another player I think that could have been used more, especially in the Trinidad game. You could have used Karoy Anderson more. Casey Palmer, another source of contention. A lot of people say that, oh, Casey Palmer not for combat, them boy they're not good. But Casey Palmer, we missed him in the last game. I wish he played against the Curacao in the Curacao game. We missed him. You saw how he played against Bermuda. No, if people come up and say, if anybody can play against Bermuda, anybody can beat Bermuda. Trinidad go draw with Trinidad, or drew against Trinidad. So as much as they're the weakest team in the group, the fact that we beat them is not necessarily indicative that they are not playing good football, because as I said before, even though we beat Bermuda 4-0 in the first game, they played a more attractive brand to us than what we play. Let me see. Sanjay Brooks said, these stats are a very good way to look at the football, to be honest. This is a very good introduction into space. This needs to be studied. Yeah, because we have to look at what players are giving us the wins that we need, or what players are giving us the results that we need. Obviously, we play to win, right? So if these players are the ones that are giving us the wins, shouldn't we use them more often if we want to win? Yeah. So that's kind of why I went down, I wanted to look at it, so just for conclude, so you have Casey Palmer, you have Anderson, you have Cordova-Reid, and you have Russell and Isaac Hayden. We need Isaac Hayden because he actually plays the defensive midfield very well. But these are the players. I believe that these players right here should be your nucleus of the players that you use moving forward for the team. These are your core players right here. Build on these players, make some reinforcements, but build on these players, because these are the ones that are giving your results. And if you have, I would say, if you have data like this, why not you choose your starting 11 from them? Of course, you have to always look at, the form that they are in and injury and all of that. But provided that they're not injured, you do that. You use those players. The coach don't have a starting 11 every game and change it. But I just believe that, like, if I don't know who they have on then probably I will say to the JFF, they probably do need a data analyst there. They need to hire somebody that can give them not just these type of statistics, but in-game statistics that can help them win. There are metrics that you can run in the game itself that can help you make strategic decisions. And by the way, the top teams in the world do that. No, they might have somebody. I don't know. They might have somebody. You see me? So, I not say that, but that is something that they could use. Yeah, the coach in need to come up with a starting. Well, if you don't know your best 11, that was a problem that we had, and that was one of the hallmarks, no pun intended, of Hallgrimson. He always had a core set of players that he used. He would maybe change one or two players, but he always had a set starting 11 that he used all the time, and you saw the type of results that he had. She say, whoa, good analytics, great usage of tool to show the masses the facts are great. Yeah, appreciate it, Chess, and thank you for being here, man. But yeah, I kind of wanted to do this because, like, we want to know what I want to help the team for win. You know what I mean? I would really love to see. I don't want to see another World Cup cycle pass us by, you know, and we have to sit down at home and watching it when Jamaica could very well be in it. We have good players. You know, all of these players are excellent players here. They just need to be used correctly. And sometimes we don't use them correctly. You know? So I hear what you're saying. Said the next team play better. The next team play better than Jamaica because them gel together more than Jamaica. Well, I don't, you know, I hear people say that a lot, you know, about gelling. And you have to ask yourself the question, well, how much time do you need to gel? Is it that we don't have enough time to gel? Or what is the reason that we are not gelling? If that is true, what's the reason that we're not gelling? Why is it that Bermuda can gel and Curacao can gel and Trinidad can gel, but we can't? Because again, even though we beat some of them teams, they played a better team football than we did. So what is causing those teams to gel and us not being able to gel? What's the reason for that? Is it coaching? Because it could be coaching, you know, because again, when we see Hallgrims with the team, I mean, people still discuss arguments about the gelling of the team, but there was that was the best, you know, the best team football I've seen Jamaica play in a while, because he stuck to, there was a consistency about Hallgrims that you didn't see in this coach. Let's say, what about Ravel? Ravel haven't been used a lot in the last 2 years, and you know, look, I know we love Ravel. Me love Ravel too, but the point is that what has been said about Ravel is that he is he's a disruption in the camp. Plain and simple. I can't go around it. You know what I mean? I love Ravel, I love him play, but every time him come to the camp, them say he's a disruption there. You know, so I just, you know, I mean, if you're a disruption, then they're not going to have you on the team no matter how good you are. You know, so I love Ravel. I would have loved to see him there. But like, it's a sad case because he's one of he's the best midfield player that we have had since Jermaine Hugh, to be honest with you. Ravel Morrison is the best midfield player that we have had in terms of playmaking midfielder that we have had since Jermaine Hugh. Maybe you could add, you know, a lot of people might not agree with this, but KC Palmer is probably, you know, I don't know about playmaker, but in playing that role, he has been best in the last few years, I would say. So they don't even have an iPad. Yeah, I'll give them today about that for real. That's ridiculous to me, silly. And these are some of the things that I think, you know, is causing other nations to jump ahead of us and leave us behind, because we are doing the same things the same way and expecting a different result. That's what Albert Einstein said. The definition of insanity is doing the same things the same way and expecting a different result. We have to change the way we do things. Yes, Brooks, we're living in the Stone Age with the football. You know, isn't that one of Simon Preston's job? I mean, Simon Preston is the press secretary, or the press officer. So I'm not sure if, I mean, he's good when it comes on to stats, because I hear him bring out a lot of stats. But I think his job with the JFF is, you know, is press officer. You know, but you need somebody. Simon Preston, while he is good with stats and he spits out a lot of stats and all of that, you need somebody that's dedicated to statistics. You don't need somebody who double them job. Like Simon Preston is press officer. Let him focus on being a press officer for the JFF. They need somebody who is focused on data. And not only one person, they probably need at least 2 analysts. somebody that can corroborate the information that one of the between the two of them, because you don't want to just have one person doing all of the statistics and all of there's a lot more information that can be researched and used in the Reggae Boyz camp. But you can't have one person doing it, because you need somebody to corroborate what the other person is doing, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So you don't just want to depend on one person. But again, maybe they have people there doing it, but I don't know. The JFF, with your budget, you need to take out part of your budget and dedicate that to technology in the JFF. So buying iPads, creating databases. And I'm not Haldimson, that was one of the things that Haldimson made a complaint about. There was no database of players that Jamaica had when he came there. You need to create databases that you can pull information from, so that you can look at history to predict your future and to help you make decisions in the future. All right. We just had a bad coach. We had a bad coach, but it's not just the coach alone. Even though I'm not a Finn McLaren, in hindsight, I don't think he should have been hired, because his record is not the best. Richard Green says, apparently Simon not doing his job if the so-called new head coach wouldn't be advising the soccer. Boy, let me see, man. That says Simon not doing his job if the so-called new head coach wouldn't be advising it. Why? Even my mind ain't a double no. If the man call himself and interview himself and tell himself and hire himself, we have to be professional. We can't expect to be better than teams out there that are doing things the right way, and then be upset and angry when we are not successful with the things that we are doing. You have to do the right thing. As I said earlier, you can't do the wrong thing and expect the right result. And I will say, you can do the wrong thing and the right thing happen. But you should not do the wrong thing and expect the right result. I don't buy the argument about gelling. Most of the players have been playing together for years. I agree. I think the whole gelling argument might be a little bit overrated, because it's like it's not like the other teams them have any less time for gel than we do. It's something fundamentally wrong with what we're doing that's causing us not to gel. And I believe that the problem starts with the president, with the JFF president, Michael Ricketts. The buck stops with Michael Ricketts. So as much as Rudolph Speed might be seen as the person running the JFF, because he gets what he wants. If I want to be coach, I'm going to be coach. If I wanted to hire that player, you're going to hire that player. It seems like he gets what he wants. But Michael Ricketts is the president. So whatever happens there in the JFF, the buck stops with you. You're not vocal enough, Michael Ricketts. We hear more from Rudolph Speed than we hear from you. We don't hear anything from you. What is your philosophy of Jamaica's football? What is your outlook? What do you want to see happen in Jamaica's football? I don't hear enough from you. You're quiet, Michael Ricketts. You're too quiet as a JFF president. You need to be in front, leading. So the reason why we're not seeing the gelling on the field is because there's no synergy between the team and the administration. That's the problem. That's where the problem lies. We don't have any less time with our players than the other teams have with their players. There's no synergy between the head or the coaching staff of the Reggae Boyz and the administration. There's a problem there, and it's not with one coach. It's with every coach that comes. Why? Why has there been a problem with Steve McLaren to the point where you had to give him a technical advisor? What was the problem with Haldrimson that he couldn't wait for packing bag and run? What was the problem with all the other coaches? Whitmore, who had to pretty much his information had to come out in the public because for you to pay him the amount of money that you owed him. Remember that with Whitmore. John Barnes picked up himself and gone because he said people were interfering in his team selection. Every coach that we have had an issue with the administration. Why? So it's no wonder we see John Wall can't get to pick him on an under 20 team. It's no wonder when we look on the field, we don't see the gelling on the field because we don't have any synergy between the administration and the head of or the coaching staff of any of the teams, whether it be under 20 or the Reggae Boyz. Look at the Reggae girls. They went to the World Cup, had a historic performance, went to the second round, back-to-back World Cup qualification, and then improved on the performance that they had. They went to the first World Cup, they qualified for the World Cup. Went to the second World Cup, improved on it, and went to the second round of the World Cup. Yeah? And then when you're done, you fire the coach of the team because your ego was bruised. I don't know, but allegedly, Lon Donaldson didn't want to allow a particular member of the GFF onto the team bus to travel to go somewhere that the Reggae Girls was going. Refused to let him in. She decided, say, yo, that now go so. Him off get fired come hell or high water. And the most successful coach in Reggae Girls history was fired because somebody's ego was bruised. Not for footballing reasons, not for professional reasons. There is a fundamental problem with the administration. The administration tends to have issues with every single coach in coaching staff of every team, whether it be the Reggae Girls, the Reggae Boyz, or the under 20 team. You have to allow these coaches to do their jobs because when they fail at these jobs, you fire them and say you failed. Well, how can you say that they failed when you didn't give them the autonomy to do their jobs? All right, we can move on. Jamaica needs to spend some money and get proper coach. It's not just the coach. It's not just the coach. I believe that we're short on technology. We're short on good governance. Good governance. We are short on good financial management because now we hear that there are more money problems. Coaches not getting paid. There's a lot of things. But we don't want to buckle down and do the work and do it the right way. Since Dennis Chung leave the JFF, we keep hearing of issues in the JFF where finances are concerned. So somebody like a Dennis Chung have to be there for people to do their jobs professionally. We have regressed so far since McLaren got hired. To me, JFF messed things up because they hired Grimmy to build for the future, and midway he quit, and we hired an incompetent coach and messed it up. Well, I mean, the problem was in Grimmy quitting because of how the JFF handle things. They caused him to quit. The JFF doesn't care to have a database of players because they want to input their own local players into the squad for their own personal game. Well, if that's their approach, we will continue to see the type of results and the type of disappointments that we're seeing. Until the JFF improve their approach, we will continue to fail. All the former coaches said, as bad as McLaren was, he also suffered with this pathetic. Yep, it's sad. Read Jamaica Observer reported date. June 3rd, 2024, Jamaica's failure in the campaign was very clear. First day. Let me write that down because I actually want to read that. It's June 30. June 30, 2024. Observer. JA. All right, we'll check out the article there. And just take a few more comments because I have a few more. I don't agree with you. If we had a good coach, we would do well despite the JFF. I believe that. All right, if we had a good coach, you think it's down to only the coach. I believe that Grimmy would have qualified us, yes. But the point I'm trying to make, even with a good coach, the good coach is not going to stick around for the crap that they deal with the JFF. I believe Hallgrimson was a good coach. I didn't like the fact that he left. I think he was doing a good job, even though the Copa America was shambolic. You know, he was doing a good job. I didn't like the fact that he left. But the reason why he left was because of the relationship he had with the JFF. So even if you have a good coach is not going to put up with the type of things that the JFF brings. Let's say we had the money to hire Pochettino, like what USA have hire. You think he would have really put up with the type of issues that the type of things that the JFF is throwing at him? You have to leave them alone to do their jobs. Stop trying to tell them who to pick. Is that certain person who was denied entry to the team bus? No, the head coach of the men's national. no, man. I don't him, man. No, man, I don't him. I don't him. It's not him, man. Somebody else. It's somebody else. Yeah. As somebody else. I just because I don't want, put on, I don't want to name nobody. But, yeah. They fight out Dennis Chung because they don't want any structure. The chaos and dysfunction benefits the people of the JFF. Yeah. I mean, it's too much. One Ravel, I love Ravel and my baller too, but I mean them saying disruptive, not me say so. I them say so. And then there are imbeciles. Every federation has its problem, but an ambitious federation always puts what's best for the nation first. Then come glory. Who doesn't want to be recognized as one of the top team? Well, we shall see. We shall see. That's all I'm gonna say. But let's. All right. So just a few more metrics. Players used by the Reggae Boyz. I don't know if you can see this. It says here, the data shows that there have been almost 70 players used by the Reggae Boyz in the last 2 years. Of the players used, 39 were locally born players, while 30 were overseas-born players. And overseas here means a mix of British-born players and American players. So you actually have a higher usage of, local players versus overseas players. And I don't know if you can see, but the metric here is 56.53% of the total players that we used are local-born players. And then another 43.47% of the players used are English or overseas-born players. Overseas-born mean both British and American. So this is in the last 2 years, by the way. In the last 2 years. So you can see all of the players here that we use. 69 total players. Amari Bell, Andre Blake, Marshall, Reed, Karamati, Ricova, Bobby DiCardova, Reid, Williams, that's Brian Williams, I think, Christopher Ainsworth, Boyce Clark, Corey Burke, Daniel Johnson, Dwayne Atkinson, Deshaun Beckford, Deshaun Bernard, Demario Phillips, Deshaun Beckford. We have 2D Beckfords. But anyway, Deshaun Beckford, Devontae Campbell, Demario Gray, Daniel Gray, Lemby Kisa, Damian Lowe, Bijan Richards, Ethan Pinnock, Fitzroy Cummings, Fabian Reid, Gadiel Irving, Greg Lee, Ian Frey, Isaac Eden, Joshan Anglin, Jonathan Bell, Joel Latibodier, Jamal, Jonathan Russell, Jamal Topi, Jamal Waite, Karai Anderson, Casey Palmer, Corey Bennett, Kaim Dixon, Kyle Duncan, Kemar Foster, Kevin Lambert, Kyle Ming, I think we have Casey Palmer here twice, Leon Bailey, Michael Antonio, Michael Lecter, Mason Oldgate, Malik Madazil, Norman Campbell, Ramon Burrell, Ronaldo Cephas, Rico Henry, Richard King, Ravel Morrison, Ronaldo Webster, Romario Williams, Shaquan Davis, Sule McCullough, Shamar Nicholson, S. Young, Tyrese Campbell, Tafari Chambers, Tavon Gray, Tyreek McGee, Warner Brown, and Wes Harding. 69 total players. I think it might be 68 because I think I have Casey Palmer twice. But yeah, 68 total players. Almost 70 players used by the Reggae Boyz in the last 2 years. Now, again, I don't know, we really have to look into, are we calling too many players? Is this one of the issues why we're not having any consistency? Because we chop and change the team so much, we call up so many players. I don't want to be the one to fight out somebody getting an opportunity doing it. But I mean, look how much players we use in just 2 years. 2 years. Almost 70 players. So how do you develop continuity like this? So this is coming from the end of the Hallgrim's era into the Steve McLaren era. Almost 70 players. So I don't know. It's a lot of players here. This was one of the things that Hallgrim's did complain about. He did say we used 60 players in 1 year. So Richard Green, so come to that question in a second. I'm almost done right so. You see me? Almost done right so. So my predictive analysis based on the 5-year win percentage trends. The data suggests that there will be an uptick in win percentage performance over the next 5 years. The highest win percentage ever achieved over any 5-year period for the Reggae Boyz is a little under 50%, which is the 2015 to 2019 time period. Based on the line trend in the figure below, which is the rise, dip, rise higher, dip, rise higher, we expect that in the next 5 years, Jamaica's win percentage will get close to or above 50%. That's my prediction based on the trend, but it's not consistent. So we'll see. My predictive analysis, our prescriptive analysis, is that based on the top 15 players with the highest win involvements over the last 2 years, it would suggest that these players give the team the highest probability of winning in the near future. As a result, the data suggests that these players could be used as the nucleus of the team moving forward to help create a winning culture around the team. The win rate has been low in the last 5 years with an uptick in win percentage over the course of the last year. Pairing these players with a coach that is capable of developing a winning culture while bolstering the team with other high-performing players could see the Reggae Boyz reap success in the future. So I am saying that those 15 players that we just saw right here, if you build a nucleus of, if you use them as the nucleus of the team moving forward, we will likely have higher performances or better performances. And stop changing the team all the while. They understand each other. Let's not try and discombobulate the core of this team right here. And then finally, my conclusion. The Reggae Boyz win rate in the last 25 years have been a little above 50%. However, in the last 5 years, the win record has been better at away venues than at home venues. In fact, the home win record in the last 5 years have been less than 20%. The data also suggests that in the last 5 years, the win percentage has been higher with larger fan attendance in comparison to lower attendance. So in the last 5 years, if we have more people at the stadium, we tend to perform better. But again, as I was saying, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Do you perform better first and then the fans will come? Or do you expect the fans to come first and then you perform better? So we'll see. This suggests if there's a focus on getting more fans to attend home games, the win rate could increase. And that's a big could, because we saw against Curacao, we didn't win. As it relates to competitions played by the Reggae Boyz, the data suggests that of all the current competitions they participate in, the Nations League is the competition that has yielded the highest win rate. Given that the Caribbean Cup is no longer an autonomous competition, and the Caribbean Cup was the last competition that Reggae Boyz won, there could be a focus on positioning the team to win the Nations League, given the high win rate in that competition. So, what I'm trying to say there is that if we are looking at the trophy cabinet, we know win the trophy for a long while, the competition that it seems we're closest to winning based on our record would be the Nations League. So that's my conclusion. That's all that's all of my analysis. So let me just answer a few questions. Richard. So let's just go. First we have to figure out a way to make to get Speed a red card so he doesn't have to coach the team in matches. Look, I mean, the people have a voice, you know, we can either decide to use the voice or not use the voice. I do not think that this is right at all. I don't think this is right. The sequence of events leading up to him becoming coach and the overall weight was rushed in 2 or 3 days since the Reggae Boyz lose or crash out of the automatic qualification. You have no installed yourself as the coach or hired yourself as coach. I don't think it's right at all. You know. Let's see. Yeah, man, it's tough. So Richard Green asked the question, bro. So what's the way forward? Can we get past New Caledonia and DR Congo? My thing with this is, okay, if you look at statistics, New Caledonia, we stand a good chance of getting past them, not only because they are ranked up in the 140s, I think, in the world, but because our record against Oceania Football Confederation teams have been good. We have 100% win record and 100% no-loss record against OFC teams, which is where New Caledonia is from. And the team that we have beaten in OFC is New Zealand. We have played them twice. We've beaten them twice. New Zealand actually beat New Caledonia 3-0 in the last game that they played together to qualify for the World Cup. So if we're going by history, we have beat New Zealand twice. New Zealand beat New Caledonia. You know, it stands to reason that we should be a better team than New Caledonia. However, some things to remember about New Caledonia is that they're a French territory, and they probably have players playing in France that they are probably are dual nationals that qualify to play for them. And with them having an opportunity to play in the World Cup, they very well could persuade some of those players to come and play for them to make their team stronger, which would give us a tougher, matchup against them. But if we assume that Jamaica is better and we do get by New Caledonia, we have to play Democratic Republic of Congo. I believe that that's going to be a very hard sell to beat the Congo. It's not impossible, but if you look at our record against African teams, that's one of the confederations where we have the lowest win percentage. The only confederation that we have a lower win percentage against is UEFA. We have never beaten a UEFA team. We have only beaten an African team once in the last 25 years. So Congo is going to be tough because Congo is a team that have Premier League players. They currently still have players committing to them now that are Premier League players. They are already outplayed Nigeria that have some of the best players in Africa. It's one of the stronger teams in Africa. I don't know. Nigeria have some of the same. I gather that Nigeria have some of the same problems with their federation and the team that we have, and that might have led to their, not being in the World Cup. So we hope that that doesn't ring true. But Congo has some really strong, good players. So I don't know. My suggestion would be for I know a lot of people might not agree with me on this, but my suggestion would be for the JFF to try and go and push to get Mason Greenwood again. No, at this point, it's pretty much us begging him to play. But the truth of the matter is that Mason Greenwood is a player that could bring us over the line. He is a difference maker. That's without doubt. And there are some rumblings out there that saying that one of the reasons why Mason Greenwood have not represented Jamaica is because of Steve McLaren. That's the rumor. I don't know how true that is. There's some rumor out there that the reason why he hasn't come to play for Jamaica as yet is because he didn't want to be, he didn't. It's because of Steve McLaren. I will just put it at that. I believe that a player like him could make a major difference. We would need Leon Bailey to be fit, but this is going to take a lot of mental toughness, a lot of mental focus. It's not just what we play on the field, it's what we have in the mind. We have to develop a strategy between now and the intercontinental playoff that can that can help the players get in the frame of mind and be prepared to play there. I don't know. I cannot say. So Richard Green, answer your question. I don't know about the Congo team. I think we might be favorites to pass New Caledonia. We still cannot take that for granted. But if we do pass New Caledonia, Congo is going to be a hard sell. It's going to be tough. That's going to take a lot out of us. So that's my position on that. Let's just read some more comments. Reason why, okay. Jagin said, I agree with you, but we can't change anything, so we have to decide if we're gonna support her. No, yeah, as I said before, like regardless of who's on the sideline, even if it's Rudolph Speed, I'm supporting Jamaica. It's not because of him, but I still don't think it's right what he did. But if at the time when we play in the intercontinental playoff, he is who is on the sideline, I'm rooting for Jamaica to win. But that doesn't excuse the fact that what he did was I don't think that this is right at all. Only way we're going to the World Cup is if we create videos asking FIFA to remove JFF, then hire John Herdman and implement his playing methods. Well, I mean, it's easier said than done because, what will happen is that FIFA will come and do an audit. And if they can't find anything specifically that violates the rules, then they will be like, okay, the optics of it is just crazy. It's just absolutely nuts, Virgin. Like, I just don't know how you can move from technical director to technical advisor to ask for leave of absence from technical director to go and coach the team. Then are your team then? Are pretty much your team. Are you in charge of everything to do with the Reggae Boyz? You hire the coach, I'm fire the coach, and you decide when you are not coach, you influence who get picked and who don't get picked. And now you're gonna be the one for actually pick the player then. And then the other part about it is that Miguel Coley is supposed to be your assistant, but he's the one that has the pro license and you have the A license. How does that make sense? How the man with the A license is going to be the head coach and the man with the pro license the assistant? Where is that? Where does that make sense? It's upside down. It's supposed to be the man with the pro license be the coach and the man with the A license assistants. So, again, I don't really like call out people personality because I like, sticking to the football, but that doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't. So again, I will support Jamaica at all costs, but I don't think that this was done. This was too hasty a decision. You run to it. You run, go get it quick. Run, go higher and quick. Why? Why you couldn't take some time and think about it? Why you have to rush, go do it? You have good players too. Do you really think Mason Greenwood will play for speed? Look, I'm not saying that he should be a difference maker. Whether or not he will play for speed, that the jury is out on that. That's probably very unlikely. But I'm just saying that Mason Greenwood could be a difference maker. If he was to suddenly declare for Jamaica and say, I'm coming to play for Jamaica, my mind would say Jamaica stands a better chance of qualifying for the World Cup. Because that man is a beast. Mason Greenwood is an absolute beast. That would have been by far the highest profile player that has ever played for this country. And I can't blame him for sitting down and think about why am I do before him come. He's a high profile player. You can't, it's sad because a player like that, his past has nothing to do with Jamaica. But a player like that, well, some could argue that it does, but the woman has forgiven him. So if she can forgive him, I can forgive him. So me move past that. There are people out there that are still stuck on that, but not for me. The person he's married to has forgiven him. So if she can forgive him, I forgive him. All right? So put that to the side. He's a beast of a player. Mason Greenwood. If he is on our team, you can imagine Mason Greenwood on the right and a Liam Bailey on the left, or vice versa, whatever. Them don't know who for focus on, because those players, if you watch Mason Greenwood the game when he played this weekend, he has carried over his form from last season into this season. The man is on fire. I would love to have him in the team. But is he going to play for speed? I don't know. The president said that he heard that from someone close to the process. Yeah, well, he's no longer here now. McLaren is no longer here now. So let's see if we can get him to make a change of heart, because at this point, the whole thing with speed and the fact say, I don't know how much I can trust the current crop of players. Even though there's you have some good players on the squad, don't get me wrong, but them break hearts, Bridget. Like the Curacao game should have been a win, Bridget. The fans came out and supported. It hurts. It hurt. So we need a difference maker, and Mason Greenwood would probably be a good one. I am supporting the players on my country of birth, but if he thinks of putting any more JPL players in there, we are cooked. Even a Caledonia will look like a prime Madrid. And here's a fear that I have with Rudolph Speed coaching the team. Here is a fear that I have. I fear that there are current players of the crop of players now that we probably do need. I fear that there are some of those players who are not happy with him playing for the team or coaching the team, and may be considering not turning up to play for the team. And if that happens, that depletes the team, and he's now going to have to find replacements for the team players that he would have liked to have, but cannot have for whatever reason. And now you're putting in players that are not at the same level as those players. The other thing is, the DR Congo, they are still currently recruiting players to come and play for the Congo. Jamaica might need to do the same. But with the current coaching situation, does that coach have does that coach have the cachet or the international gravitas to influence high-level players to come and play for Jamaica before that intercontinental playoff? Is he going to be able to influence Mason Greenwood to come? I don't know. I don't think New Caledonia and DR Congo is sitting back and waiting for the intercontinental playoff to come around before they recruit players. So I don't know. The JFF is lying about Mason Greenwood and McLaren. He doesn't want to represent Jamaica. I don't know how true that is, because like he got the passport and he was seen wearing the jersey in his training session, and it's the president is Mike Cricket said that. So no World Cup for you. If we had John Herdman, we would be in the World Cup. Well, it doesn't look like we're going to have him. Nigel Coley is an idiot if he takes the job. Oh, what Speed will do is throw him under the bus when he falls in March. I have, like, from all indications, he has not accepted as yet. He's still weighing up his options, but he has not fully accepted as yet from what I'm hearing. Apparently, he was the one that was considered for the head coaching job. And Speed, the assistant, but apparently Speed didn't want that, and so they made a compromise. This is oral Tracy, by the way. They made a compromise and switched the roles and put Speed in the head coaching job and put Coley in the assistant coaching. So, which is weird to me, because they say, okay, all Rudolph Speed have to do is say him not comfortable with it, and then Michael Ricks just say, okay, we'll just give you what you want. No, brother. Like, I really don't know. So let me see, just read some more comments. Interim coach until March 31st means Long Ball FC. DRC will win 6-0. They are faster, stronger, they're faster and more fit. Yeah, like we don't have a good record against African teams. So I don't know. I'm not hold my breath. You see me? But if we get to Congo, because we still are all kind of overlook, New Caledonia. But if we were to get to Congo, I'm not holding my breath. Them dash for the soup, and you expect them to pass the fire. That's a good one. That's a good one. Professional pro club field. Yeah, that's a good one. Them dash for the soup, but you want them to get through the fire, or you want them to pass through the fire. A madness. We jump out of the soup pot into the fire right now. And it's open for qualification. That is pretty much what we do. We jump out of the soup pot into the fire right now and expect for qualify, or want to qualify. And then look what them do with the coaching situation. Them run to judgment, rush to judgment, or rush to a decision. Crazy. I think we might need Antonio for the playoff games. Mikel Antonio. Is Mikel Antonio fit though? Is he playing any football? Will he be, in any type of form? If he somehow could get Greenwood in the squad, the Jamaican people and myself would be more confident. Yeah, I mean, if he could do it, boy, I might change my mind, to be honest with you. If him can get Mason Greenwood to come play for Jamaica and help, because Mason Greenwood is a beast. Mason Greenwood would make a difference. Mason Greenwood would increase Jamaica's chances of qualifying for the World Cup by a good percentage. So if Rudolph Speed can do that, why we like we might have a change with tune on him. If him can get Mason Greenwood to come play with Jamaica, we might have to. Anyway, according to leader, Mr. Speed will not have any more JPL players in the team unless him. When I must want to lose if him do that. More disappointment. 2030 plan. Rudolph Speed will just use his Cavalier. No, I think input. I don't really think him would have really in a right mind. Go use Cavalier players for this. Well, people, I mean, it's been 2.5 lively hours talking about some analytics, and I plan to do a lot more analytics on Jamaica's football, because I think a lot of the times we go with gut in terms of making decisions with Jamaica. We don't really look at the stats a lot. And I think the stats sometimes can help us make better decisions. That's what analytics is there for. That's why NBA teams and other professional club teams, football teams, baseball teams, etc. That's why they have analysts to provide insights into how teams can make better judgments and make better decisions that can benefit their team organization through using analytics, through using the numbers and data. And that is something that we need to look at, so that we're not just going off intuition, and we're going off what has happened. So I thank you for being here, everybody. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for the hitting the like button. And if you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscription. I'm Jamaican Youth, and thank you for being here. But we're going to sign out now. Until next time, take care of yourself, walk good, and peace out.